welcome back everybody to Adobe Live. My name is Voodoo Val and I'm going to be your host today for episode number 2 of Drawing and Painting with Justine. I'm super excited to kind of dive into day 2, and I see so many familiar faces in the chat who joined us yesterday, like Alessandra, Steve, Alberto, and the one and only Cody Bear. And this is going to be fun. This is going to be super great. How are you feeling this morning, Justine? How are you doing?
I'm feeling well. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. I had so much fun hanging out with you yesterday, and
It was
I'm so
fun.
pumped to dive back in and go over what you have planned for today. But before we kind of take a step into the content, I would really love to talk a little bit about you for anyone who is just joining us today and wasn't with us yesterday or has maybe never heard of your work. Maybe just tell everybody who you are, what kind of work you like to do, and obviously the important question of what is your favorite flavor of popsicle, because that's number one on the list that you gotta
Of
be letting
course.
the chat know today. That's what we
Right. That's number one.
yes,
Oh
that
my
is
gosh.
top of the list.
I love it. Well, I'll start with that question. My favorite
Yes.
flavor is watermelon. I love that
Yes.
flavor. Oh, so
Mm.
refreshing, so good.
Mhm.
But yes, my name is Justine Mangum. I am the illustrator and creator of Winnie Weston. Winnie Weston is dear to my heart. I started it during the pandemic, so in 2020, which is really crazy to some people, but I love it. And I created it really in honor of my grandfather. His nickname was Winnie. His middle name was Weston. And I just felt like that's the perfect name to just represent my company. So that's a little bit about me. And I'll show you guys a little bit of my work, just so if you're not familiar with it. I just do a lot of colorful things. I love just doing artwork about Black women, and of course women in general, but I really focus on women of color. And of course, I don't stay away from color, right?
Mhm.
I love the bold, bright colors. But I just love doing art like this. So this is a little bit about me.
I love it. I love it. I love the not only that you are just living for all of this, female oriented art and female focused art, but I love the diversity of women and Black women in your portfolio so much. I feel like it has so much life, so much motion, so much personality in it, and it's a beautiful
Yeah.
place to be. Guys, please check out Justine's portfolio. Cody Bear has posted a link in the chat. That is definitely an Instagram you folks need to follow. But we get to jump in to another painting today. So why don't you
Yeah.
let us know what's on the agenda? What are we working on today?
Of course. So I sketched this out so we can have more time with, me doing the digital painting. But we have a woman, I like to think I am her, and she's ready to go to some type of outside festival. Like she's
Mm.
ready to be outside for the summertime, hopefully. Um, as COVID starts to, I don't know, go somewhere else, hopefully, I don't know. But that's who she is right now. So I'm going to just dive in. For me, if you were here on day one, I mentioned that I like to start out digital painting with doing the skin first. I feel like that is having that foundation is just it makes everything easier. So I start out with the skin.
Awesome. Awesome. I can't wait to dive into it. As you
Great.
get started, Justine, I would like to point out to the chat a few important points for the stream. If you are over on YouTube, please come to behance.net/live. That is where I am reading the chat. That is where any and all questions that you have for myself or Justine will be read and relayed to our wonderful esteemed guest of the morning. And it is where all of the helpful resources and links and things that we talk about are going to be posted. So if I let you know that there's a link in chat, or I comment and greet someone and you don't see them, you are probably on YouTube and not where the main party is happening here on Behance. So please come on over, make some new friends, sit, stay a while, hang out, have a good time. Also, one thing I'd like to point out is today we have a viewer spotlight going on. So about the last 30 minutes of stream, we are going to take a short break from our regularly scheduled programming. And we're going to pull up a wonderful portfolio from somebody in the community, give them a shout out, give their portfolio a look-see, and just kind of highlight their work, say thank you for joining us, and give everyone a link to where they can follow them as well. So that will be at about the last 30-minute mark. If you are interested in nominating yourself or another artist for a future spotlight, you can check out the tab above the chat where it says Artist Spotlight. And you can actually submit a portfolio there. So if you would like to be a part of a spotlight, you can nominate yourself. If you have an artist that you know, or just an artist that you really truly admire and you'd love to see them on a spotlight, or just someone who you feel is really making waves and improving personally in their art journey, and you think they should have a little bit of recognition for that, go ahead and submit those portfolios, because we look through them and we choose people every week in order to highlight. So we would love to see who you folks are wanting to have on a spotlight. Cody is talking about the spotlight in the chat. Thank you so much, Cody. Also, let me see, we've got Christine Joan in the chat. Welcome in, Christine. General Kenobi, hi. Hello there. I got my Star Wars family in the chat. Welcome in. He says hello there every time. He jumps in the chat every time, and I read it in Obi-Wan Kenobi's voice every day. And it just makes my whole day. We got Fairy is back, Anime Elephant is here. It is good to see all of you folks. Fabio Rossi, that is a gorgeous name. Welcome in.
Beautiful name.
And Stormy Nesbitt, that is also an excellent name. I think I know Stormy.
Yeah, I love Stormy. Hi, Stormy.
What's up?
One of my favorite illustrators. I love her work.
Yeah. What is up, Stormy? It's good to see you. I don't know that I think I've talked to Stormy like actually personally, like maybe once. We don't talk very often, but like I revolve around all of your content, girl. I think you're great. So hello.
Yes. She's amazing.
Yeah, she really is. She's such a positive, wonderful person and very talented. So definitely check Stormy out as well.
Yes.
But I see, so we've kind of like jumped into this first portion of our illustration here. And you said, like you said, you start with the skin. And I remember yesterday you kind of explained to us that when you first get into a painting, you really like you kind of, I guess the way I interpreted it is you really kind of let go of fear and just like go for it. You don't worry about staying in the lines. You just kind of like do your thing.
Just do the thing. Yeah, I love doing that, because I feel like when you get really like, okay, let me try to get it perfect, at the beginning, I feel like in your mind, you start to find yourself like really being put in a box. So I feel like in the beginning, at least of it, of course you have to clean it up at the end, or gradually, but I feel like at the beginning, just get it on there. And then go back and say, okay, like, let me clean up the lines. I don't like this. I don't like that. It's just nice to kind of dive in. Yeah, that's how I feel, at least.
Yeah, I love that. I think you also said something yesterday that I just thought was so rad. And that was like, and it doesn't matter what medium you're using. If you're using an artistic medium where you can't just like erase around the edges, girl, just add more. Like, just put more on it. Just throw more on it. Like, just put more. And I was just like, yes, that is like such a good, positive outlook on one's art, because I think, and this is something I do constantly, even now, like even doing, because we were kind of talking about the juxtaposition between like being a full-time artist yesterday and not being a full-time artist. And like the differences really are not that different. You know what I mean? But like, I even now still have like a lot of fear when I begin a project. Like my pen is hovering over the tablet and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna, start putting paint down, but it has to be perfect, right? Like it has to be in the lines, right? It has to be like, I have to get this right on the first try. And you tell yourself that, but like approaching it this way where it's fun and you're not like hard on yourself about making those mistakes is so good. And I feel like that really comes through in your work a lot too.
Thank
like
you.
You have like positivity in your work because it seems like you have a very positive kind of workflow.
Yeah, I really do. I feel like, art is supposed to be fun. Or at least to me it is. But like when I think back to when I was younger and my parents used to, get me sketchbooks galore and canvases and paint and this and that. When I think back to that, I remember painting, art, sketching being fun. It was something that I really did love to do. As we mentioned self-care yesterday, it felt like self-care for me. So now having a company where I illustrate for other brands or people, I still want to keep that fun nature, childlike nature with what I'm doing now. Because I think once it becomes work, I mean, work is work, right? Like anytime you have to do stuff is work. But I think once it becomes like, okay, I'm just doing this, it has to be perfect. Then it becomes another thing. And I think that can take away your joy from it.
I agree, because there's always the element that, I try to be very transparent about, where, anyone who's pursuing a creative design job, like you really do need to understand that going into it, at the end of the day, it's a job, and you're not always going to love every single portion of the job, but there is, it is a creative job, and there is an element of it that I believe should be sparking joy for you every day. And that doesn't necessarily mean you're doing backflips head over heels for your job every day. Like I don't walk into my office in the morning snapping my fingers and like turning cartwheels, but I am not Paul Tranny. That man does. I'm pretty sure he does like several cartwheels before he begins any artistic project. But I don't know if you know who Paul Tranny is, but if you do, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But you do, you work through and create a process for yourself that becomes comfortable, that you are comfortable and familiar with, even when you're trying new things. And maybe that, I would say, is one of the differences between somebody who aspires to be like a full-time professional artist and somebody who is. It's not necessarily, that you like your art isn't good enough, or it's not necessarily that, like things like that about you and your skill, because no matter where you are in your journey, you're always going to improve. You're always going to get to a point where you want to be if you keep at it. But when you go to do it for a living, you have to learn yourself. It's almost like self-love and self-care is a cornerstone and necessity for this job.
Absolutely.
Learn how you create and develop a way to create even when you're not really feeling it. What's your process? I would love to know
love that
from you and some members in the chat. What are maybe some problems or hardships you have faced, like in your own process or just in your own career, Justine, that you found just like really difficult to overcome, and how did you overcome that? And this is for chat too, like everybody. I would love for everyone to share if you can think of something that was just like kind of difficult. It could be a personal thing while creating. It could be an actual career hurdle. It could be, whatever you would like to share.
I think that's a great question. I think for me, I still work a full-time job. So, I have the love of my company and doing my art, but then I have, of course, the responsibilities of, okay, having the full-time job.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that can be a challenge trying to have, you know what I mean? Like trying to
That
balance
balance.
the
Yeah.
two and put a lot into, of course, your company and your art,
Mm-hmm.
uh, but also having to, you know, have the responsibilities you have. So that's definitely a challenge for me, just trying to balance, trying to not get overwhelmed and truly take it day by day.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I think sometimes you have the pressure of, oh my gosh, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do this. Like, you know, you feel like you're a one-man show in a
Mm-hmm.
way. And I think at the end of the day, it's just saying, okay, you know what? I can only do what I can do. And that's it. I can't stress myself out over whether I'm doing something perfect or not,
Mm-hmm.
because that's just not good. And then another thing I think where it can be a challenge for me is, of course, comparing yourself to fellow artists,
Oh
right?
yeah. Oh my gosh, yes.
That
Yeah.
is like number one. And you love those artists. There's something though in you where you're like, wow, they're so good. I wish I could be like them. Like I
Mm-hmm.
wish I could get the opportunities they have, or I wish my skill was up to that par, or my eye was where their eye is. And
Mm-hmm.
um, you know, naturally that happens when you are in a community like this. But um it's just always trying to remind myself that, you know, we are all um, wonderfully creating this thing that adds to the world. So what I add, what you add, Val, what other artists add, they are all good. And
Mm-hmm.
even though I say that, but it can be difficult sometimes to kind
Mm-hmm.
of truly feel that way.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
But because you never understand how you and your work truly affect other people. Like you can,
right.
like Oprah can't enjoy Oprah. Beyonce will never know what it's like to like
Right.
listen to Queen Bee for the first time because like that's her. There, there are some sacrifices that we make,
Yes.
unknowingly as creatives. Like you will never understand the impact truly that you
Right.
have on people, no matter
Right.
how popular you become or whatever. And so, because of
True.
that, it can be really easy to forget how important and impactful your creative voice is.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
I've also I've collected a lot of like kind of questions and comments for you here in the
Yes,
chat that I'd
perfect.
love to go over.
Yeah.
We got a message from, I believe it was Biola, who says, "You
Oh,
inspired me to spend a few hours in fresco yesterday, Justine." That is so
nice. Yay,
cool.
Viola.
Yes,
I love
yes.
that. Don't
That
you
is
love
what I like. Oh,
fresco?
oh yes. Oh, my God. It's like one of my favorite things ever. And I love
Yes.
to hear that you guys showed up to hang out and that the streams inspired you to create. That is the
Love
goal.
that.
That is the dream.
That's the
Um,
dream.
Cody Bear would like to know if you have any tips on picking realistic skin tones for darker skin.
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, it can be tricky. I think anytime you're thinking of a skin tone, because sometimes we have an idea of like this one skin tone. And I think it's important to know, of course, I feel like there are so many skin tones out here that
Oh
a
yeah.
color you might have picked actually might be the correct color, right? But I think I'll just open up a new tab so I can show you guys over to the side. But I like to kind of course, if I'm thinking of doing a person of browns who have brown skin,
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking, okay, she's the person, him or her, they're going to, or them, they're going to be in the middle of a yellow and an orange,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's what kind of they're going to be in the middle of. So what I like to do, so let's just act like we're at the highest so you guys can see. This is
Okay.
the yellow, this is the orange. Let's go around here. I go down a little.
Okay.
Because I feel like, I mean, there are people who are actually this light, who are sometimes this color, maybe. But usually you find people who there's a little bit of a, not a shadow, but a darkness to it. Even if they are on the lighter end, they're not always like that. They might be a little down.
Yeah,
You know
they're
what I
not
mean?
like totally saturated,
Yeah,
you
they're
know,
not
they're
totally right. Exactly. So for me, I like to go to a realistic, to the middle of yellow and orange usually. And I like to go down and I just kind of go around and see like, okay, do I like this brown? Do I like this brown? Or is she lighter? Is she light skin? And is she around this color? And then I just try it out, and then from there I'll go and I'll be like, okay, so if I want to do a shadow for her, let's go a little down from that and let's see how that looks. That might look okay. You know what I mean? Like,
I love how you're using the secondary sliders in there in the color in order to, like, you've chosen a color and then you're really getting like a directly dark color from that point instead of like trying to hit the mark manually on that color picker, and I think that's a really great tip for people to keep in mind, because that's one of the things that I only just started doing recently. Because I would just be like, well, I want to come down here, and I would like click, and I never quite like click where I think I'm clicking, because I'm always painting with my iPad angled, and then I'm just like, why can't I just go like 2 shades lighter than this or 2 shades darker? And then I was like, oh, that's what the 3 different sliders below this are for, that make it so convenient and easy for me.
It's so much better, like, just being able, and I go up here, but you can clearly go here too. I think that helps too. But I just love using the sliders because they really do, like, that can be a nice brown. You can really see, it's not like randomly picking, okay, this, that can be so, and sometimes when you do that, the shadows and the highlights, they kind of might seem a little off, or you're like, okay, that's too dark. Okay, that's too light of a highlight. So I like kind of going, okay, if I'm here, let me just scroll down. I mean, let me just go down a little bit.
Let's just explore a tad bit. Let's see what we can find. I love it.
Explore. So that's kind of how I do like my shades, and I think that's how I do pretty much a lot of my colors. But as far as skin tone, I'm usually within this level of places. Yeah.
And as you were kind of experimenting with this color, Noor in chat was like, hey, I'm this color.
I love it. Yes.
Hey.
Yes. She's like, wait, hold on. I recognize that color.
It's me.
It's me.
Love it.
I love it.
Biola and a lot of people were like kind of sharing throughout that, like their own I guess like art hurdles that they have had to jump. And so Fury was talking about like art block for them. Biola says imposter syndrome from not having college training and age. Biola, I can tell you, I understand how you feel totally, because I'm self-taught, because I did not have the option to go to art school for doing anything on my own. So people ask me, where'd you go to school? Where'd you learn design? And I'm just like, the University of YouTube, my friend. It's got everything you need. But
YouTube
because that's
great.
It is, and it's it's not always an option for everyone to go the formal training route. But I believe that if you have the desire to create, then it's in you already. And if you put your heart and your mind to being a creative, you will find the voice that you want.
Let me get out of that and go back in,
full
everyone.
Screen real quick and jump back in. No worries. But we got the talk going on, so that's okay.
Yes. Oh, here we go. We're back in action.
All right. But yeah, once you feel that creative bug, like
Yeah.
that's you, because some
Mm-hmm.
people go their whole lives without like having the desire to paint something,
Right.
so I think that if you are insecure about your level of training, I would say always seek more knowledge, always be on the hunt, on that journey to improve
Mm-hmm.
oneself and to learn more and to strive to create more and hone your craft, hone your skill. But
Absolutely.
if you can, because it's easier said than done, try not to feel
True.
as, yeah,
That's so
um,
true.
try not to feel lesser than if
Yeah.
your education that was available to you is not what other people have had, because I've been
Right.
there. I get that.
Yeah.
And everybody's journey is different. Everybody's journey leads them to a different place,
Yeah.
and the way yours is I think is the way it was meant to be.
Mm-hmm.
And that means that you have what you need for your creative journey. You just have to not end the journey. You know what I
Yes.
mean? You just got to keep on that journey.
I
Um,
agree with that.
yeah.
Yeah,
I,
I agree with
oof,
that. That is
thank you.
I'm telling you that is deep. Like for me, I went to I was able to go to a performing arts high school. My concentration was visual arts. And then around college, I was like, okay, I really love fashion and I still love art, but I'm not going to major in it. And then, life kind of slips through the back door and it kind of sneaks up on you. And, you kind of start to feel like, okay, well, let me do something for a career that, because of how we're trained like get a stable career,
Yeah.
and um, and you start to feel like, okay, let me do something where it's stable, quote unquote,
Mhm.
which I think nothing is stable nowadays. I
Oh
think
yeah, it's different,
it's
it's
a different,
changed.
yeah, it's changed.
Landscape is new.
Yes, it's a different time and it's great.
Hmm.
But even feeling like it for me, it's kind of like a full circle moment of, okay, I ended up getting into a career that is like not as creative.
Hmm.
And eventually your body and your spirit and your soul tell you, no, you gotta get back into it.
Hmm.
And so for me, it's a full circle moment. I know my parents feel this way too, where they're just kind of like, wow. I
You are
mean,
just, yeah.
it's a full circle. It's like from you being young to like drawing God knows what, right?
Hmm.
Back then to like now, it's like, wow, that was a full circle moment. So I agree with you. Like, what your journey, you will end up where you're supposed to be. And
Hmm.
that is definitely the same for like an art journey. You will end up where you're supposed to be.
And it's like I can tell you firsthand, no matter what you think about the journeys of the creatives that you admire, every creative faces struggle. Because if for if for only the reason because we do it to ourselves,
Yeah.
like everything could be going right and we still just be like, man, like, like we will do that.
Absolutely.
So like, when you feel that struggle, it's also hard to almost like have imposter syndrome when it comes to like your visual creations, but like because you're just
Right.
like, well, I'm not doing as well as like these people I want to be like. And it's just like, do you know how those people are doing? Like, really? Like,
Really?
do you know about their personal lives and their internal struggle? And I think that
Telling
the
you.
life of the kind of artist that a lot of people aspire to be like is so much like their own, they would be
Yeah.
shocked. And they
Mm-hmm.
are shocked when they finally get there and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm the same person I ever was, you know?
Right.
So it's if
That's
I
so true.
take comfort in that, because I definitely do.
Yes.
I always have. And it's funny you say, like, you were talking about like kind of coming full circle, like from being a creative
Mm-hmm.
in your younger years, and then you're still young and lovely as ever. I hope that didn't
I'm
sound
still
weird. Like,
young. Young
Justine,
and
you're young
fresh.
when you were young, when you when you were young and spry.
When I was young and fresh.
Yeah, just but when going from high school and like being creative, and I'm sure you were creative long before then, and then transitioning to something and then just coming back, I had like a similar experience, because I used to draw all the time. I remember my mom got called into the principal's office when I was at elementary school, because I was drawing like fantasy babes on my homework, because I was like reading comics and all this stuff, and I was just like, I want to draw like like an elf babe in armor with like a sword and like a dragon, and they were like, she can't do this. And my mom was like, why can't she do this? And they're like, ma'am,
yes,
your daughter is 9.5. She cannot draw cleavage on her math homework. And my mom was like, she can draw whatever cleavage she wants as long as it's not mine. That was
I love your
put
mom.
her foot down. Yeah, that was it. And then there was like the I always did art classes whenever I could at the school, but I remember I got kicked out of the mixed media class. The teacher told me I had no concept or understanding of artistic creation. And that's what I was telling you yesterday about when I'm like, take that, 7th grade teacher.
Take that.
What do you think now? But then I started going to school briefly for forensic anthropology, and I worked at the DMV for 2 years. Yeah, that was a 180, definitely. And then after a handful of years of that, I was like, you know what? Time to draw all the time.
Yes.
Time to draw.
Yes.
Time for more like fantasy elf warriors and dragons and big swords, because that is what I have always wanted. That's all I want. That's it.
I love that. That is such a full circle. Like, I'm telling you, when you are a creative person, you can only go so long before you get to a place where you're like, I just want to be creative.
I just gotta make something. I'm sure you've had that moment, and I want to know in chat if you guys have like gotten to this point before, because I am sitting down and maybe I even, it hits me when I just drew 20 minutes ago or whatever. I'll see something, or I'll feel some type of way, or I'll watch a movie that inspires something, and I'll be like, oh my God, time to draw, here we go. Like, it just hits you. And I think that, having the artist bug doesn't necessarily mean, well, you want to draw. That means you have to start forging this massive career now. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of people in here today who are not all people who are pursuing a full-fledged career in this. There are people who just want to learn the programs more and, make artistic friends and be able to express their artistic passion more often in their everyday life. And that's cool too.
Absolutely.
Nor is in chat kind of sharing his background as well. He's got a degree in engineering, nanotech.
Wow.
After he got the degree, he could not find a job available in his country, and he knew some graphic design and HTML, and that's where the jobs were at the time. So he went into like design, which is really cool.
I love that.
Yeah, very interesting. Let's see, Lisa is talking about like being careful of like talking down on oneself, because that's what becomes real. And I think yes. If you are not kind to you, eventually you start to believe those unkind things. You know what I mean? And that can be dangerous. So be kind to yourself, because you're wonderful.
Yes. That is so true. It really is true.
I'm gonna go through and make sure I didn't miss any questions. And I see you are adding, going through and adding some details in the shapes of your shadows and stuff. Maybe you can talk a little bit about your shading process while I kind of hunt through the chat and make sure I scooped up everybody's questions.
Yeah, of course. So for me, I like to keep my shadowing. I think when I first started, I probably did a lot of like layers of shadowing. It might have been like 3 extra layers than this of like, brown, lighter brown, a lighter brown, a lighter brown, a lighter brown. So eventually I think over time, I started to realize, okay, I like a more simple look when it comes to shadowing for me. So I like to do like 1 shadow and 1 highlight. And that's pretty much it. So I have the base, then I have the shadow, then I do the highlight. And I just like how it looks, right? Like it just kind of it's so simple, but you get the vibe of what's happening in the piece of art. So um for me, that's what I do. And of course, like as we talked about the whole putting a shadow under the neck. I'm telling you guys, like I do that all the time. Like I'm like, are you guys the type of artists where you kind of always have like that one like design move where you're like, I'm never getting rid of this?
I'm gonna smile and agree with you. Feeling a little bit called out, but you no, I'm just joking, but really, yeah, I definitely am. I have so one of the things that I do in my art all the time is I put like if you look at the portraits in my portfolio, I put like that harsh triangle of light underneath my character's face, like on the neck. And you can see in almost every painting, almost every portrait that is in my portfolio, I spent so much time painting the character. And I was like, we don't need a background. What's a background? What? Like, and I'll set out to be like, you know what? I'm gonna paint a landscape back there's gonna be trees and like all this magical stuff, and then I get to it and I'm like, how about instead I use a tree texture brush and scribble in the back and put it, and you know what, it looks good. I for me personally, in my own journey, like one of these days I would like to break away and become more comfortable placing my characters in a scene, but for the most part, y'all are gonna see me take my noise brush, crank it up to like 3,500 pixels and do a little squiggle in the back that looks like some fog. That's what you're gonna get.
That's it. That's all you're getting from me.
And people are like, oh, the depth. And I'm like, yes, did that on purpose.
Yes.
It was a design choice, indeed. I don't know why I'm English when I say that. I'm sorry. I didn't mean for that to happen, but it's
no, I do that all the time. There's something about that English accent where you're like, see you later.
Oh, yes.
And you try to always act like you are, and you're like, no, I guess I'm not. But
channeling my inner Finn and Rey from Star Wars is doing my,
Oh, yes. I love those
enthusiasm. Thank you so much.
I know.
I'm living for our new friendship. You have no idea.
I love a good movie. I'm telling you, if you know me, you know I love a good movie. Like, I love movies. I really do.
I love movies and shows. They are so inspiring to me. Just, like anytime I watch a new movie or a show, I always love to like paint a character or paint a scene. I actually was inspired recently to try and do some like animating my own like YouTube intro openers in After Effects, because I watched, has anyone in chat seen that Netflix show Dark? It's a German show.
Yeah.
And you can watch it with dub or subtitles. I watched it with the subtitles, and the intro is so cool. It's like a kaleidoscope of scenes and images, and it's got this, I won't spoil anything, but it's got this very heavy vibe of like duality and like mirroring change kind of, and the visuals that it shows are like, those mirrored images. And I thought it was so interesting that I started like, whenever the theme song comes on, I'll like pull out Fresco and start sketching and like, like planning something out. I don't know.
I love that.
When I'll ever get to it, but like I do that. I would love if somebody else has a show or movie that they've seen that really inspired them, share it in chat, because maybe we can kind of check out each other's favorite films and shows.
I love that. I feel like that was me all 2020, was like, tell me what you're watching so I can watch it.
Mostly because I have exhausted every option that I already had on my list, and I need you to save me from not having anything to binge watch on Netflix. Please help me. Well, I can tell you there are 3 seasons of Dark on Netflix. Ooh. And it's very good. So yes, you are in luck.
Yes, I know. I love that too. I sound like my mom. She's always like, oh, I love, like, she hates when there's a season, like one season. She's like, oh, I want like 3 seasons. Right.
Where's the rest of it?
Right. She's like, I want at least 3 seasons. Like, I want to feel like I'm watching this for a little bit. You know what I mean? I'm watching it for a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My mother will watch shows too, but she will watch, I don't know if she's lurking in the chat right now, so I'm trying not to get in trouble. Because she very well could be spying on me.
Right.
My mom watches anything.
I love
what
that.
I mean by anything is my mom will find something and she will choose a show because it says it has 13 seasons, not because it's particularly high quality to watch in the first place.
Right.
And I got stuck watching 13 seasons about people who take care of horses one time. And at first I hated it. I was like, I have nothing in common. I love horses.
What's
grew up.
Called?
I can't remember even what it was called, to be perfectly honest. But it's the one where, they own a horse farm and they take in horses. Is it called
Heartland?
Yes, it's Heartland. Yes. No.
You know what though? That sounds good.
You know what? I couldn't stand it when I first started it. And then after a while I was like, what are they doing today? Like, whose horse is she training this week? I need to know.
I need to know.
What's happening at the restaurant? Who are they selling cattle to?
And what's Grandpa Jack?
Yeah, Grandpa Jack. Like, what is his lady up to? And I get invested in it. So Cody says, do you have any tips drawing different hair textures for darker skinned people? And we kind of talked about this yesterday, but maybe we can go over it again because I think there's actually a lot of people here today that were not here yesterday, and that would be great. We got some folks in chat saying that their parents also love Heartland, by the way. So I'm just going to leave it at, this is clearly a mom and dad show that is leaking into our lives and taking us by storm.
Now we feel like, wait, what's happening with yes. Oh, I will admit,
I feel very validated right now because I'm not the only one that lost their soul to Heartland.
I'm telling you, when I heard you mention it, I was like, okay, I feel like this is Heartland.
I watched that intro of her brushing the horses every time, and I'm like, serenity. All right, but textures for hair.
Yes, and we can skip to the hair. Let's just start the hair a little bit.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Yeah, so for me with hair, I like to do a base, of course, but I think the thing that to know about doing hair for women of color, it really is she has some twists in her hair, but sometimes when you have twists you kind of have flyaways, and right, and in my mind she is a natural girl who has twists, so her flyaways are going to be on the curlier end of things. So for me, I like to, she already kind of has some, but I can add some more just so you guys can see. Something like that, right? Okay. Now, I may not like that exactly, but that type of curliness is how I really do my textures when I'm thinking of doing natural hair and hair that has some type of curl. It's literally going like this, you know.
And you just gotta experiment until you find that texture that you want.
Yeah, nice. it really is. It's experimenting. It's looking at curly hair and looking at kind of how the strands look. If you look up curly hair strands. That can be a help as well. So, you know, because it shows you, look, if you look it up on like Google, it'll show you, okay, this is how the strand of a piece of hair looks. And clearly with her type of hair, I'm not going to go like that.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't make sense.
Mesh. Yeah.
Right.
Sense.
Exactly.
Maybe we can go over like some terminology for like Black hairstyles or just things that, you know, words you would use when talking about Black hair, for anyone who needs to look up reference but just really isn't familiar. Because like I remember I had dreads for so long, and as I kind of like got into learning more about how to like make my own hair products and care for my hair myself instead of going to see someone at a salon to do it for me, I learned that a lot of people also refer to what I referred to as dreads for a lot of years as locks.
Yeah.
There were different kinds of locks and you know, different even different names for them as they changed in thickness, that so that you could you could walk into a salon, or you could, you know, find tutorials for or look up and learn about very particular kinds of hairstyles. And you're talking about twists here now. We were talking about baby hairs yesterday.
Yes, we did some baby hairs.
You know, so maybe we can like talk a little more about it, and then if there's anyone in chat that has any information along those lines too, we can just kind of share it in chat. So if there's anyone in chat looking for, you know, more information, how even to find reference for hair styles for people of color, you know what to look for, how to find it.
Yeah, I would definitely start with looking up natural hair. You can look that up on Google. You can look that up on Pinterest. I know a lot of us artists go to Pinterest for references. If you look up natural hair, that will usually give you like maybe an afro, which is more of a tight curl. And it kind of, it almost looks like a globe type of look on your head. If you look up curly hair, you might get an afro, or you might get like a looser curl, maybe like Val's curls.
Yeah, when my hair is shorter, it's spherical, but it is like looser. But yeah, I would say you're absolutely right. You would probably get people with hair texture that is more like my own.
Yes. And then if you're looking for a braided look, which is more kind of like this look right here, but the look of it is the strands are kind of like this, like on top of each other, if that makes sense. So the braided look, if you're looking for braids, look up natural hair braids or natural hair twists, or you can look up, I think these twists would be considered like passion twist. So that is something that you can look up. There's Marley twists, which are like passion twists, but the hair texture is a little kinkier. Or tighter. And then, you know, yeah, I think that's like the overall like scope. I mean, you have everything. You can look up finger waves. You can look up, a buzz cut, you know, just to see how that looks on, how a buzz cut looks on women of color, or just women in general. Those are like the things. Or you could look up kinky straight hair, which is pretty much like a blown out hair without it being flat ironed, if that makes sense.
Nice.
Nice. So if we did your hair, Val, and you know, we just blew it out, that would be like a kinky straight hair, like a blown out hair.
Gotcha. See, and I'm learning something too today, because like I have always grown up like calling certain styles of hair like certain things, but for the most part, like when it comes to my own hair, I would say like in a way like I'm kind of boring aside from doing like the colors sometimes, and aside
Right.
from like like doing my dreads, because I gave myself dreads. I like sat for like months and like learned
Oh my
about it and then
gosh.
did them
Wow.
myself.
Hmm.
Aside from that, like I kind of have the one do. Just, like it does what it does, and I hope you like it because that's what I got.
That's what you're getting.
That's what you had to choose from: curls or more curls.
Right.
And and
Yes.
I so this is really educational for me too, just
Yeah.
to kind of learn what people call different styles of hair as well.
Yeah, because I know
Christine
you.
Joan is talking about
Mhm.
cornrows
Yeah, there are
and
cornrows.
fades. I love to see like a good fade where their hair is very thick
Yes.
and then faded from like thickness down to like invisibility.
Yes.
I love that like gradual, like
Love
just
that look.
beautiful, like a velvety fade that is just like
Yes.
so
It just
seamless.
looks,
Ugh,
yes, velvety. That's it.
it is
That's
so
it.
beautiful. And I'm like,
Yes.
ooh, look at this.
Yes.
Look at it.
There's so much about like natural hair, about I think Black women, our hair. There's
Hmm.
so much you can do with it. Yes, cornrows. I mean, when you think of just the wide range of what you can do with it, it's crazy. There's the, Afro puffs. There's,
Hmm.
the hairstyle where like you kind of, it's like a snake going down,
Yes.
the middle of your head. And there's so much that you can do, that you can draw.
Hmm.
But it really is just trying to understand and have a reference for it, that I think, that's so true. You really do need something to kind of start with.
Maybe since we're on this topic, I can I can ask because maybe somebody knows like what I'm talking about here. Because I've tried to look. This is actually like me trying to look up a hairstyle that I saw that I could not find. There was this movie that came out. I can't remember what it was called, but it was uh, Michael B. Jordan was a boxer, and he was
Oh,
like
Creed.
Creed. Yes. Okay. So his
Yes.
his his girlfriend in Creed
Yes.
had her hair plaited on both sides, like those long plaits. But when
Uh-huh.
she came out rapping, like walking towards the stage, like doing her song, she had the plaits and she had a braid that came from the back of her, like a really thin. I'm talking like pinpoint thin braid that came up her part and
Mm-hmm.
looped around on her forehead and then
Yes.
went back down the back of her part. And I was like, what is this beautiful, magnificent
What
hair
is
idea?
that?
This accent is like amazing. How do I do this? And what do I ask for if I want somebody to do this for me?
How do I accomplish this?
And can I put a gemstone on it? Like, can I
No,
spice it up with some jewelry?
it's beautiful, beautiful stuff. I mean, like, and a lot of that really can come from, um, a lot of that can really come from, the Ethiopian culture, the African culture, where they have the braids that go from back here to like all the way up
Forward.
here to
Yeah.
forward, and they have, just beautiful jewelry embellishments on it. I'm telling you, I mean, especially if you really are curious to kind of have different references for hair, and you want to kind of go to a place that like you feel like you've kind of never gone before, if you look up like African hairstyles, like traditional
Yes.
African hairs, I mean, it is like, it's amazing, amazing, the stuff that like the way Africans used to do their hair,
Mm-hmm.
and still do their hair. It's just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful shapes and textures and colors.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Beautiful.
I
It's
think
worth looking up.
I think that if you would like to just immerse yourself in the beauty of African fashion, like in general, like from hair to jewelry to clothing to food
Yes.
to even different facial painting to body paint to
Mm-hmm.
body markings to all this stuff. One of the episodes of that show Abstract I was discussing with you folks
Oh
yesterday
yeah. Mm-hmm.
is dedicated to the woman who designed the entire wardrobe for Black Panther. And she sits and talks and goes through her process for the research that she did in creating the costumes that she did and how she used the representation of so many different people from different parts of Africa in the skin markings that she did on many of the characters in the clothing and the hairstyles and all that stuff. And I mean, from a design standpoint alone, it is such an incredible dive into just beauty and a really brilliant mind this woman has for
Mm-hmm.
how she pieces things together. But also, it's just so inspiring, like to see this rich culture and like how different
Yeah.
people from Africa can be, you know, and how different the cultures can be from one another all there. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I think that
Mhm.
if you are unfamiliar with Africa and with African culture and with the African people, you may have like one singular kind of idea in your
Right.
mind about what that looks like. But when you really
Mm-hmm.
dive into it, there is so
So
many
much.
so many different avenues to take and to explore there, visually, culturally, musically, you know, it's insane. So that's
It's
a
a
great
beautiful
episode.
culture.
Yeah,
Yes, I
definitely.
love I want to say her name is Ruth Carter.
I
Ruth
believe
Carter?
so. I believe
Is she
so.
the one who did she's
I'm gonna pull it up just to double check.
she's phenomenal. I think she comes
Yep.
from Hampton University, HBCU, and her if you are interested in costume design, her journey is so interesting because she started out with Spike Lee
Mm-hmm.
doing his movies, and then she kind of went to like, you know, Coming to America and,
Yes.
you know, all the different type of like movies that we know of,
Mm-hmm.
to be that she was able to really um just create a name for herself. She's one of my favorites. Oh,
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I would say like the because I think when Black Panther came out, that was such like an incredibly astonishing like film for so
yes.
many people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think that it was beautiful in that like we got this film that really had like such an amazing, incredible representation for people of color, that you know
Yes.
for like African culture, but in a way that never felt, you know, like it was derogatory or like
Right.
unfounded or blown out of proportion or straight. It was just beautiful. It was just, you know,
Right.
wonderful. And so she's
Mm-hmm.
done that, but then like the rest of her portfolio is just like, oh, this too. Oh, you also did
This
this.
too,
That's
right?
amazing. Yeah, like, gosh.
She's phenomenal. I mean, phenomenal. Like
Yeah.
she just, and to think that, you know, it's so funny back then, even nowadays, of course, but I feel like back then it was like you had a friend, they could do something, and you were like, "Hey, can you be the costume designer for this
Yeah,
this
yeah. Can
movie
you
I'm
do this
doing?"
again? She's like, yeah, I guess. And then
Right?
she
She's
was
like,
like,
"I'll
and
pull it
before I
together."
knew it, like,
Here I am, like doing, you know, especially it's for Spike Lee because I feel like he, you know, he was just a young black director
mm-hmm.
in New York. And I feel like they both did not know he would eventually become who both of them became. So
Oh
it's
yeah,
so funny.
yeah, definitely. We have Ferry in chat asking, do you ever use photo references, and if you do, how do you use it? And I think this is a really great question because like we've kind of talked about like where we find photo reference, like going to Pinterest, but I think it's really important to touch on how to use reference, because or how maybe we can both kind of talk about our methods for, because you were saying that you will like look at the hair and then like kind of like emulate the hair in your own interpretation of what you see. And maybe we can go into depth about it, because one thing that I have noticed just like being on the stream time after time is that I think Fairy is definitely not alone in wanting to know this. I think I found a lot of people who they sit down to draw and they have the reference and they kind of look at that art or that image and they say, okay, that's what I want, but how do I make it here on my canvas? You know?
Right.
So maybe what is your thought process, and how are you thinking about things when you go to turn it? And I know you went over this a little bit with talking about the textures, but maybe we can just get into it a little bit more.
Yeah, I always say, you know, looking at it, if you're the type where you can like look at it and emulate it as you look at it, whether you have it on your computer or whether you have it, you can sometimes insert a photo and kind of put it on the top edge of your piece of, you know, your blank canvas, and you can kind of go based off of that, like looking and kind of like looking at what is here, looking at that line, and then kind of you yourself being like, okay, let me try this line. Just go for
experiment.
Yeah, I think that's the easiest way to do it. But even in that, it's like it's seeing the reference, taking the reference, but then, you know, trying to make it into something that is truly your own. So you know, for someone who struggles with hands, it's like you might actually need a reference to see how you do hands.
Don't just draw them in the pockets, folks. Don't just draw. I spent almost 8 years doing that, just drawing my hand into the pockets.
It's true. You're like, okay.
At the end of that 8 years, do you know what I had, Justine?
What?
No ability to draw hands, only ability to draw pockets. That's what I had.
Unless that is like your thing. Now that might like be your thing. You just want like the
maybe you rock the pockets. Maybe that's, you know, but I'll tell you, all hiding from drawing hands and drawing them into my character's pockets, or behind my character's back or off canvas ever did for me was still, after years, I didn't know how to draw hands, and I was like really good at drawing the outline of a hand or the shadowing of a hand in a pocket. And I'm sorry, Lisa's dying. Viola was like, how dare you, Val? I'm sorry if anyone in chat feels called out. I only say it because I've lived it, because it's real to me in my heart, folks. All right?
No,
I'm sympathizing with you.
That's okay, because sometimes you just don't feel like doing, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you just sometimes don't feel like doing it, and you're like, I think
right.
It's becoming my thing, you know.
You're right, but I just like, I remember what happened was and that was the thing is when I first started painting, I did not have an art job. I started streaming on Twitch, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna stream full time. I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna be this is kind of embarrassing. I was like, I'm gonna be the next pro Hearthstone player. I'm gonna win the championships. I'm gonna be I'm gonna be famous for playing Hearthstone on Twitch. I'm gonna be the next Hafu. Like, I'm gonna like go for it. People are gonna know my name. Turns out I am atrocious at that game. I just like it a lot. I just like playing it. I am not good at that game in any way, shape, or form. So hopes and dreams of being a pro gamer dashed away. I found out about the creative section of Twitch TV, and I started, you know, streaming there. But I didn't have an art job at the beginning of my career. I was streaming full time, and art was what I chose to do on the stream. And because I didn't have prompts from clients, I was free to do whatever I wanted. And what I wanted most of the time was painting a hand in the pocket or off camera, or not. Like, I'll level with you, I still don't draw feet. I don't draw, like, there are things I don't, like, I don't prefer to draw. I stay away. But because I allowed myself to be comfortable, not at least exploring things anatomically, and for you, if you're doing a different kind of art, this could be different for you. This could be, maybe if you are a graphic designer, maybe this means like learning how to use text and path tools together. Maybe this means learning how to use the pen tool in a smooth manner. Whatever it is that you shy away from, think to yourself, because I had to think this to myself, are you not doing it because you don't want to, or are you not doing it because you're afraid to do it because you don't know how to do it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Give us just a couple of minutes, folks. We are going to take a break and do some magic behind the scene, and then we will come right back and pick up where we left off. So we'll see you guys soon. We are back. Thank you so much for waiting patiently. I am just going to get right back into what we're going over, because I see some people who are like kind of posting some feedback for us in the chat and things, saying, Alessandra's talking about, I always give shoes to characters because I don't like drawing feet.
Yeah.
And Christine says, all joking aside, I've come to believe in the importance of intentional practice in order to get better at a chosen endeavor, and I agree.
Mm-hmm.
And Nicole says, it's so much easier for me to draw feet, but not as much the hands. That's wild to me, because I definitely see my hands more than I see my feet. I feel like I'm familiar with hands more than I'm familiar with feet. Maybe I just think feet are strange.
Yeah, they are weird though. It's like, okay, how flat should it be? How curved should it be?
Should I do an arch? Is this a dainty foot? And if I don't make it dainty and lovely the first time I draw a foot and it just looks like really wonky, I lose all sense of motivation. It's the same as like when I paint a face, I never add the irises and like pupils to the eyes until I'm already done painting the entire face.
Interesting.
Because if I add, like, I just do like blank spaces where the eyes are, and I'll color it in like the whites of the eyes, but I won't add anything more than the whites, because the moment I put those irises in, if I put it in like lopsided, it just all looks wonky and bad to me, and I can't take my own painting seriously. Like, it really throws me off. So I have to finish the whole face and like prove to myself that I know how to draw.
Right.
And then add in those wonky irises. So if they look bad, I can be like, but I can draw.
Right. You're like talking to yourself like, come on, I know you can draw.
Yeah. I have to, sometimes I'm like drawing on Adobe Live or like on Behance, and I'm thinking like, I try to be as open and honest with like the ugly phase, quote unquote, of like the art. Cause we all had that phase, where you're just like, do I know what I'm doing?
Right. Hold
And
on.
people jump into a broadcast and I'm thinking they're like, oh, you're on Adobe Live? Is that so? Do
Oh,
you know
you
how
know
to draw?
things.
What's going on? And I get really self-conscious about it, but I have to like
Right.
do certain things in my painting in order to feel confident about the parts of the painting that I'm less confident in. Um,
That's so true. I feel
uh,
like it's all about confidence. Like at the end of the
yeah.
day.
And that positivity and self-care to allow you to keep that vibe going within yourself,
Yes.
because it's so strange how artists, especially in this day and age currently right now, like in the midst of just like this COVID-19 thing that's happening, where some of us are in quarantine, some of us are not in lockdown, and like all of these crazy things, and
Mm-hmm.
some of us being very limited in what we can and can't do. A lot of people who weren't intending to be like freelance artists before
Mm-hmm.
now are suddenly like, well, like, here I am, YouTube, I'm making videos now, like, here I am, Instagram, follow your girl, because this is what I do. Like, I'm just going for it. So many
Yes.
people are turning to it, and it's
I
like,
love it.
we need more than ever right now to keep that positivity and those good vibes going for us.
Yes.
Now is the time to like focus on you and allow yourself to like breathe and just feel nice about your own work.
I
Do
know.
it.
I love that though. I feel like that is so true. When I would post my art, a lot of people, especially back in 2020, would always be like, "Oh my gosh, like I've always been into painting or art, but like now with 2020, I just feel like now is the time for me to like step out and just do it." You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I think for me, like with this like the whole thing that kind of happened, I just was like, you know what, I'm like terrified of making videos. Like, I get really scared of like making, because I'm like, when I'm on stream, I can pal around and I can be my weird, strange, quirky self, like
Right.
I don't have to like when I do a video, I have to like have a script and like know what to say. Whereas like here, I can kind of give myself over to the banter and stuff. So that's something that scares me to do. But I've
Yeah.
been making them, and I
Mhm.
don't know if I think any of the videos I have made are particularly good. But I
Right.
posted them, like,
As long as you post them.
yeah, like they're on YouTube. It's just that, like I'm scared a little bit, but I'm, that's what this is kind of like. Everything is a little bit scary, so I might as well be creative
Yeah.
and a little bit scary.
Yes.
Um, Glenna Cole
That's
says,
it.
question for both of you. What is a good
Yeah.
introduction to streaming the creative process? I would love to stream illustrations, but getting started is a little intimidating. Any advice? Do you have
Mhm.
like broadcasting, streaming experience aside from the Adobe live streams?
You know what? I do not, besides this
Mm-hmm.
and Instagram, like
Okay.
doing lives and stuff, no. And I think what you were talking about YouTube, I'm kind of at that place where I'm like, I feel like I should do a YouTube.
Yeah, like to try to
I
like,
should try
but then
it,
I'm like
but
in a room talking to myself. And I'm like, what the hardest part for me making a video, and I don't know if anyone in chat, please speak up if you can relate, validate me,
yes,
like
yes,
let me know that you feel the same way. But I'm sitting in my my little workspace, and I'm like, all right, time to do an intro. And I'm sitting there, like I usually do it like after dark, where folks in my house are quiet and I can like get
right.
a good take. And I'm like
Hmm.
standing in front of my camera at night by myself, alone in this room, and
Right.
I'm looking at the camera at nobody in particular, and I'm like, hi, my name's Voodoo Val. Welcome back to this, and that. Today, I'm going to show you, and I'm like, I feel so weird right now by myself at 10:30 p.m., like talking to nobody,
It's
and I don't,
weird.
and am I forcing it? I feel so weird.
No,
So,
I feel like I would feel the same way, which is why I paused and I've been like, do I want to do a YouTube?
oh, there's my YouTube in the chat. Oh no. Thank you, Cody. I'm just, you know what? Yes, go for it.
They're like, people are gonna get your YouTube. They're gonna get it.
I am free falling into the sharing of the YouTube. We'll see how it goes. We've got a question. We did not answer Glenna's question. That is like advice for streaming. So I have been streaming since 2014. And I was doing, in 2014, I started doing like 6 days a week, 8 hours a day, just streaming.
Wow.
And I was like taking meals on stream and just like, I was on Twitch. I was on it up until like, gosh, from 2014 to 2017. And then I kind of backed off a little bit. And then I started doing more streams like here on Adobe Live. And then here I do the like things like this where I host. Every once in a while, I have the wonderful opportunity to be a guest. And then I also teach the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenges.
Wow, you do everything.
I try.
You do everything.
I try. But streaming is a really wonderful thing. I don't know what I would do if I didn't have the opportunity to like turn on a live broadcast and start painting and have somebody in chat catch something in my work before I do. Like, hey, by the way, that arm, that looks a little strange. And then all of a sudden I don't have to finish a painting when I realize I've made a mistake. You know,
right,
or
true.
I can get input where as I'm painting something, I can ask my audience like, hey guys, does this look like what I'm trying to convey here? Like, does my point get across? And then if somebody says something like, yeah, kind of, but maybe if you change this color or X, Y, and Z, getting that live feedback, I think has really made me a better artist. And I will say realistically, anytime you are going to broadcast such a raw process on the internet, you also have to be prepared for the anonymity that some not so nice people will hide behind.
That's hard. Yeah.
When you broadcast, when you put stuff out on the web, there's always going to be, people who are very blatantly honest with what they think, and sometimes people don't know how to separate opinion from constructive criticism. So I would say, like, I won't sugarcoat that. Sometimes it's hard, streaming and stuff, but I will say streaming also taught me how to parse through criticism and opinions on my work, and helped me to be able to find, like, what am I going to listen to? How do I feel about my art? Am I going to stay strong in my own resolve to appreciate my work? And am I going to change it all the time so that everyone's happy? Because that's unrealistic. You can't make everybody happy with your work.
No.
So I think it matured me
as
an artist. And also I have made so many wonderful friends.
That's the thing that I think I'm kind of like, that's why I would do it, just kind of connecting with more people.
Yeah, and answering questions real time. Oh, yes. It is so fun. It is so fun.
Yes.
It's definitely an experience that is unparalleled, I have to say. I really do.
So you don't regret taking
No. Oh God, no. I would never regret this. I mean, we have had this been like these 2 days, Justine. I would never have been able to pal around with you. We would never have found out that both our moms binged Heartland.
I mean,
okay? Like, we would not have figured out that we both love pottery. And
yes,
like we have found some, like we have made friends. Like
we really have
wonder twinned up. We have formed Voltron into like the ultimate fashionista illustrator. It's like we
really have.
Who, like, I would never have had this. Yeah, I know.
Right? It's like, what are the odds? I have to tell my mom. My mom is she's in school. She's finishing her bachelor's in English.
Wow.
So she's a writer. She's a children's writer.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yes. So I'll be posting about her on my page when we get things going with her. But she's in class right now. But when she watches this back, she's gonna be like,
"Oh, that's so great."
She's gonna be like, "That's my show."
I love it. Well, shout out to Justine's mom.
Yes.
You are loved and missed because we've been talking about you. So I hope you enjoy the show on that replay. Stormy is saying streaming on Fresco is a great start to getting comfortable with streaming. You are absolutely right,
That's
Stormy.
true.
There is a start live stream button in Fresco, and I have tried it out myself. It is wonderful when you stream from Fresco. It actually pulls up a little chat window that you can move around in Fresco, so you can see your chat.
Really?
And it has like a little preview of your webcam. If you have your webcam on, it has a little button to mute and unmute your mic and to stop your stream and start your stream. It's amazing. It's incredible. So yeah, that's a great way. Yes, I did meet Cody Bear through Twitch. Me and Cody were our Twitch fam.
I
I
love
met her in
that.
like 2015. And we've been buddies ever since.
Oh, I
Um,
love that.
Uriel says, question for all. Do you feel that your personal ethnicity affects your illustrations? I think that I definitely I feel like I don't actually paint a lot of people that look like me. And I've noticed that recently. And so I decided I was gonna remedy that, and I was gonna paint a bunch of women of color who are like fantasy samurai, because that's
Ooh,
awesome. So I was
that's very
like, you know
awesome.
what? I need a line of like black women in armor with like natural and like, you know, like black hairstyle shaped to be like warrior hairstyles, like reminiscent of hairstyles from that
Yes.
time and region, but like done the way a
Mm-hmm.
black woman would do her hair.
I love
And
that. Yes.
I'm pumped about it. So we're changing it up. It's gonna happen, because I
Yes.
think that needs, like, I just need to put more of that out there. But what about you, Justine? What would you say?
I mean, for me, it's like you can go on my page and it's like all black women. But yeah, I do. You know, for me, as a young girl who loved art, loved fashion illustrations, right? Like that combination of like, okay, it's art, but it's fashion, beauty. Um, I think for me, I've always gravitated to that when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
But around the time when I was younger, I don't. There weren't really a lot of artists who were doing those type of designs that featured women of color.
Mm-hmm. Oh
So
yeah.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like back in, not to sound old, but you know, back in,
We had this talk, Justine. You are
we
young and
did.
spry.
I am. Thank you.
You're welcome.
But they just, you know, they didn't really have that. So when I, you know, got older, I felt like I really want to provide that, because I want it to be, I want a young girl who's like me, interested in that kind of art, fashion, beauty type of thing, and to be able to buy art that looks just gorgeous and
Mm-hmm.
features just melon, you know what I mean? Like that
Yeah.
just features that brown skin, whatever the range, right, is of the woman of color. But
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to make sure I was able to provide that, like women of color who have freckles, women of color who wear glasses, women of color
Mm-hmm.
who have straight hair, who have curly hair, who
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
braids, who have twists. I wanted
Mm-hmm.
to be able to provide that. So for me, who I am as a Black woman, it is in my art. I
Mm-hmm.
can't
Oh,
even deny
definitely.
that.
Yes. I knew that you were gonna like be like, girl, you know. But I was just like, want to pass it over to you and just let you say it to us. I think I feel that like the same way that you feel when it comes to women of color being portrayed in fantasy art. And that's what I kind of realized, like I said, I don't really paint a lot of characters that look like me or represent people of color a lot, because you know I'm such a big fan of like fantasy and science fiction and like all of these things. And to be perfectly honest, like there's not a lot of people of color represented there, because like when you think of an elf, you don't necessarily see a Black woman in your mind
Right.
when you think of elves. And so recently I was like, you know what, that's got to change, because
Yeah.
I want Black elves. Like why should we not have black
Yes.
elves.
We
You
need
know,
black
like
elves.
what we need black elves. You know, like we
Yes.
need this to happen. You know, we need you know, you know, sorcerers and
Yes.
wizards and like, you know, of color to you know, to kind of like spice up this magical genre. And so
Yes,
I'm working
absolutely.
on it. I got some stuff cooked up behind the scenes because I was like, you know
Ooh.
what, I want somebody with my hair that has like her pointy elf ear sticking out of her
Oh,
like semi fro, you know, like
beautiful.
I want
Beautiful. I love it
gotta have it.
already.
Yes.
I gotta have it.
We gotta do it.
Yes, I'm telling you, I always think back and I'm like, man, like I would love for someone to do like, some interpretation of the Lord of the Rings, but make them
Mhm.
into people of color. Like, how would
Yes,
that look?
yes.
You
Like,
know?
can we get like Michael B. Jordan as like Strider, like pushing those doors open, just like
Ooh.
I'm here. And
I'm here and I'm here too.
basically him from Black Panther, but a little nicer, just
Right, just a little nicer.
tiny bit nicer. Um,
Still keep the locks though. I like the locks.
yeah.
I like that on him. But nicer.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. Lisa says my mom told me black people are everywhere, Val, so make your black elves. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Lisa's
Yes.
mom. I
Yes.
will. Black elves and Tinkerbells. Yes.
They should be everywhere.
Yes, we should do. I feel like we've all, like all of you in chat, we've all had this conversation together. So let's come together, you know, as a community and like develop our own black elves and just post them randomly so the internet is like, what's happening?
What's happening
What's
and
going
what do
on?
I need to look out for?
Mhm.
What's going on? I want to stay in the know.
Elves of color. Let's do it.
Yes. I love that.
Also, we have about 5 minutes before we jump into our artist spotlight for the day. So if you have any kind of like last minute questions before we jump into that, we will have some more time illustrating with Justine after our spotlight. But we are going to kind of dive into this for a little while. So if you'd like to touch on anything else before we jump over, please post your questions in the chat. For anyone who does not know what the Artist Spotlight is, we have an Artist Spotlight tab above the chat where you can go for more details and information on how it all works. Basically, you can nominate yourself or another artist that you admire or that you know or that you feel has maybe you know of somebody who is kind of achieving things in their own personal journey, who is improving in their skill, and you would just really like to highlight them and give them some recognition. You can use that form to submit a Behance portfolio of someone, and they will go into a pool of portfolios that are considered for future portfolio artist spotlights. So I love it. I love being able to highlight someone in the community. It is a whole lot of fun. I can't wait to reveal who we have today because it's actually somebody that I know, and I'm really really excited. Cody Bear has just posted EOC in chat, Elves of Color, and I am I'm living for this right now. This has got to be like an Instagram prompt now.
I was just about to say that could be a nice Instagram prompt.
Can we do this? Can
Love
we all
that.
like, can we just like this, like it was birthed right here. Like this is the ground zero of the Elves of Color movement, and this is gonna happen. It's I think I'm just gonna say, because I'm asking you, but I think that like I can say like here's where it begins.
Yes.
Here it happens. It's a thing now.
Here's where it began. And you know, when a director picks it up, they know who to thank. Val.
Yep. And Justine and everyone in chat. I'm not taking credit for it. I'm just saying, no, I'm putting my foot down. We are having some Elves of Color up in
here. We are
doing
color. I love that. Oh my God. Now, when you do the artist spotlight, is the artist currently here? Do you tell them beforehand, like, hey, I might do something for you?
I believe that somebody reaches out to them to let them know that they are going to be spotlighted, and they know what time it's going to be, so they can come and be in the chat during the time that it happens. Sometimes they're present and sometimes they're not. But I think I did see our spotlight for today here earlier, though I don't know if he is here at the moment. We do have a quick question from Uriel before we dive into our spotlight, however, and that is, on fresco, can you layer mask to make sure that you stay in the lines? Yeah, you can do a layer mask or a clipping mask.
Yeah.
On fresco.
You can do it. Don't do like me, where I don't do that.
Clipping mask is my
to make
go-to.
more work on myself.
Yeah, I love clipping masks. I don't use the layer masks as much because for whatever reason I'm like not used to selecting things in fresco to use the layer mask. So I always default to making a shape and doing a clipping mask to that shape to stay within the shape. But yes, you can do both.
Yeah, make that easy on yourself. Don't do like me. I don't know, like for me it's so funny, like I there's something very calming though about erasing, you know, how what's going over the line sometimes, where I'm like, I don't know, it's so calming.
Do what sparks joy. What sparks joy, you know. Christine, we are going to dive into our spotlight right now, but I'm going to return to your comment here. Christine Jones saying, still trying to figure out the difference between the layer mask and the clipping mask. I will go over the difference between the two and their little nuances when we come back to kind of give you like maybe a little crash course on them when we return. But for now, we are going to pop over and we are going to check out our wonderful spotlight for today, which I'm super pumped about. Let me pull it up here. All right, so we are taking a look at Chris Georginas. You folks may know him as the wonderful keyframer. This guy is he is one of the sweetest men I have ever met. He is so kind and like creative and funny. And I hope he's here. If Keyframer, if you're lurking or something, if you are here, please pop back in the chat and say heyo to us, because he's cool. So Keyframer actually worked on the animation for, if you've ever seen that TV show Home Movies. With the squiggle vision. Does anybody know about squiggle vision? And yeah, there's been like a handful of like very well-known things that he has worked on and done animation for, and it's really cool. And he used to do a segment on the Adobe Twitch channel where he would like take other people's drawings sometimes and like animate it or just go over the basics of animation and show people how to do it. And I loved watching his show. So definitely give him a follow. It's behance.net/keyframer. There's also keyframer.com listed here where you can go. And is there anything in the portfolio, if you can see, Justine, that maybe sticks out to you that you'd like to click on just to go into?
I see a beautiful piece of art with a woman who has the most gorgeous, you already know.
The eyes. I was like,
eyelashes. Oh yeah.
Let me holler at whoever you are wearing right now. Ooh. This has to be like, I want to know where she got. Oh, wow.
Oh, beautiful. Oh, those eyelashes. Oh, wow. I need them.
This is so cool.
So cool.
Award-winning Boston-based hip-hop group Still Gold asked me to create an animated video for their single New Normal Part 1 off their latest album. The song won Best Song of the Year by the Boston Music Awards 2019. The animation features the brilliant work of Ali Sabet, who I regard as one of the most brilliantly provocative artists of our time. It is with honor I got to work with Ali and Still Gold on this project. This is just really cool.
That is beautiful. Oh my gosh. Wow. I love how you knew exactly what I was talking about.
Oh yeah, we are drawn. We are mind twinning right now.
We really
this
are.
Is, you know. Gosh, this is really just so visually stunning. It's so really emotional.
It really is.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, it literally it like, wow, that definitely gave me a story.
I could see you like drawing inspiration from this too, with these overlapping shapes on varying
Yes.
opacities for like a top or a
Mm-hmm.
shirt, you know, for one of your
Yes.
characters too. Like this is like
That's
totally a
beautiful.
you piece right here. Like
Yes.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
I
my
love
goodness.
that. Oh, and those
Yeah, this is
eyelash.
so
Oh,
cool.
I just wish I could get those eyelashes. Like,
Yeah, I'm gonna press play on this because I wonder if we get to
yeah.
see them move, and I am gonna turn it down just because I don't. Oh, we do get to see them move. Oh no,
Oh my
they're beautiful. Look at this. This is so cool. I just kind of wanted to
God. I mean, I
preview
love the
the,
colors.
yeah, just the art and the changing. This is neat.
Wow.
This is
And
so cool.
he did the
Oh,
animation for it,
yeah,
correct?
he did the animation for all of it.
Whoa.
But if you would like to, you know, listen to the music or check out the video in more depth, you guys can definitely check out his profile
Wow.
and dive into it. I was kind of looking at this here, the Adobe Animate
Yes, I
CC
did look
promo.
at that. Oh, look
I
at
was
her
like, what is this? I
afro.
know. I'm just like, woo,
Ooh.
you are rocking it. That's what.
Yes.
Let's see. So this is, it says like, check out what you can create with Adobe Animate CC 2020 and the Premiere animation tool from Adobe. This is so cool. So you
That
made
is
like
so
a,
cool.
oh, this is neat.
Oh, so he shows you exactly.
Like how to, oh, oh no, he made the caterpillar inch around.
Why did I think of A Bug's Life? Like
Oh,
immediately.
instantly, I heard in
Instantly.
my voice, like, you all look like little ants from way up here.
Oh my God.
Oh, sorry.
He's amazing. Like
Oh,
animation to
wow.
me, I'm like, you are, geez Louise, you are a
Oh yeah,
mastermind.
the like, and it's like, you know, you look in his portfolio and there's like such a plethora of like different styles and different things.
Yes.
I remember when he did the egg and bacon, like Ready the
Mm-hmm.
Pig. I actually remember that. This is so neat. You are making me
Wow.
want to be a keyframer. And I remember that. I believe that the girl riding around on her bike with the curly
Hmm.
hair. If I remember, and Keyframer, if you're in the chat, I believe that was actually voiced by his daughter, and she has like such a sweet little voice,
Oh my God.
and she just rides around on her bike and tells a story, and it's precious. Um, but yeah,
Oh
there's
my
just a lot of
God. I
cool
mean,
stuff in
he
here.
does. Look at those big earrings. I love his stuff.
There she is. There's a little gif of it right there, so you can just
Oh,
peek at it. Oh yeah, there. Yeah, it's I believe it's his daughter, and she came out and like
oh,
rode on
look
her
at
bike.
her.
Yeah, look. Isn't that sweet?
Her little red
I know.
bicycle. Oh no, maybe it's not red. I think I'm looking at her boots. Maybe it is red. Okay,
Yeah,
I think it is
it
red.
looks like she's got
Okay.
red boots. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
we'll ooh, this is even called shopaholic. This with these big earrings.
now you
Danger zone
know.
for me.
Okay.
Inspiration can come from anywhere. I was walking
Oh.
through Boston's Back Bay and saw this woman on Boylston Street shopping. She stood out because she was tall, long red hair, and this outfit. She didn't have a dog, but I felt the need to give her one. Oh, that's cute.
Oh,
That's
that's so
adorable.
cute.
I love it. I love that he, you know, just talk, you know, like I just saw like this person and it inspired him to like create these things. Let me get
This
these boots though.
whole, oh my gosh, the boots. I
I've
mean,
never seen someone
the
rock Argyle
hair.
like this. Yeah.
I know. I'm like, what?
That swoop. I love
That
it.
swoop of the hair.
I
Oh,
love that the dog matches. Like,
yes.
shout out to the dog.
Shout out to the dog.
Yeah.
That's perfect. That type of woman, she would have a dog to match
she
her
would.
style.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, this is so cool. Keyframer, well done.
Well done. Oh, look at that one.
Which one? The
animation reel, I think, where it looks like there's a lot of people in there.
Oh, this one.
Wow.
Okay, I'm gonna press play, and that'll be because I do want to make sure you have enough time to get back into your own project. So I'll press play on this, and we'll kind of like watch it real through a little bit, and just say like, definitely everyone check out Keyframer, behance.net/Keyframer. to look at his portfolio, explore his work, and see more of his cat is so great.
Oh, there she
The
goes.
banana.
Ooh.
Oh, that's him right there climbing up there.
That is absolutely true. That was
so
me
great.
yesterday.
But yeah, definitely check him out. Check out his tutorials and all of the helpful animation knowledge that he has, because it's just really, really cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring us back over. We will switch to our page. And we got some more questions coming in the chat. I'm so excited. Okay, let me.
Wow, he was so good. Animation is so hard.
Yeah.
Like, to me, I did like a class in middle school, and I remember thinking, oh my gosh.
Yeah. It's hard. It can really be hard. And it's like I have tried like a handful of times, and it's not always something that is like, for me, it's not always something that like comes to me naturally, where I even think the things that you kind of need to think in order to make a flawless animation. So I have so much respect for people who just like can do that, can like put their mind to making something flow.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's just really cool.
Yeah. That's crazy.
But maybe we can recap where we left off with your work, and
yeah,
I
sure.
will go through and pull up any questions that have been posted for you in the meantime.
Perfect.
Okay. Uriel is screaming squiggle vision. Yes, Keyframer is responsible for squiggle vision. Indeed. Nicole says, I'm fangirling right now. I love home movies and, of course, SpongeBob. I am more than a connoisseur of SpongeBob. I am a connoisseur of SpongeBob memes. I think I have a SpongeBob meme for every reaction, every emotion on the spectrum of emotions that I feel. And you better watch out, because if you catch me in a weird mood, I won't talk to you. I will just text you a picture of SpongeBob's face, making some kind of look at you instead of talking.
Lord,
I really will.
We should watch out for that.
Yep. Watch out, y'all.
Oh my gosh.
Elisandra says, what is your advice for people who are trying to find their own style? I have a lot of styles and not sure what is the one.
Yeah, sure. That's a good question. I say, go with what makes you the happiest doing. I think there are times when like you can have one style, but when you do it, you're kind of like, oh, like it doesn't make me happy doing it. It looks good, but it doesn't make me happy. Or you might feel like, oh, I still feel like it doesn't have me in it. And I think about who you are, think about what makes you happy. Like, for example, for me with my style, I could do eyes, but I think it kind of makes me happy, like them not having eyes, which is what I gravitate to. So I know people who gravitate to using a lot of neutral tones or earth tones. And, there are people who are like complete opposite, and they're like, I'm just bright all the time. I'm pink, I'm blue, saturation. They're like, I'm
blam,
going bold, like, blam, bam, like they're bold. And I think at the end of the day, like, if you are a person who gravitates to bright colors, then you kind of falling into, the style that has more earth tone colors in it, then okay, that's maybe not for me. As far as like style, so maybe how they look, like, do you want to do eyes? Do you want to do facial expressions or not? Or are you kind of like, I like the face to have detail, but maybe I don't like to do hands? Or whatever that style is,
Mm-hmm.
I say go with what you gravitate to and what makes you happy doing.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I would say all of that, and combining it for me, combining it with making sure to hone the basics of your skill, because at the end of the day, I think that your style ends up being your interpretation of the world. But if you don't understand how to express your interpretation of the world, I think that you will have a hard time like having that style emerge fully.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, like, not like if you don't like study anatomy for 20 hours a day, you're not going to be a good artist. Like, that's not what I mean. I just mean, like, like we've been talking all day about, like, put some time here and there into honing your skill and polishing your craft. Because the more you understand, the more you can convey in your work, the more comfortable you become expressing your creative voice. And the more comfortable you become doing that, the easier it is to just let your artwork flow and find that style, doing what you love, instead of like being rigid and unsure of yourself when you approach art. One thing I did want to talk about, because we got about 10 minutes left, and I did promise I would go over a little bit of information about layer masks and clipping masks. So with the layer masks is you basically select something, and you can set a layer mask to what is like in that selection. And basically what you'll be able to do in Fresco is toggle between the actual layer of what's on that layer and the mask. And when you swipe over to the layer mask, you can paint in you could put a layer mask over the entire layer, or you can cordon it off with a selection. So the selection is not necessarily 100% needed. But when you swipe over to that mask, you can use black or white to paint on that mask to add and subtract from what is visible on that layer. Now, a clipping mask, the way I use clipping masks is I will do a sketch, and then I will paint use the pixel brush to paint a solid silhouette of my character or item that I'm illustrating. And then all of the details that I want to add, I hit that clipping mask button on those layers above that silhouette, and then everything I paint on a layer that's set to a clipping mask of that silhouette layer never leaves the shape of my character. And I can turn the clipping mask off if I like, and maybe layer mask it if I want to layer. It's really up to you and your project and what you'd like to do. I prefer clipping masks. Some people do not. Some people prefer layer masks. It's really, kind of dependent on your own process. But yes, that is how I use them. You said that you wanted to use them more. Do you use clipping masks or layer masks at all? And if so, which one would you say you've kind of delved into the most?
Me?
Yes, you. Sorry.
I was like, huh.
I'm just talking.
He's silent. He's talking. Yeah. I
forget you can't see me. I'm sorry.
I was like, wait, hold on. No, for me, I think going between both sometimes is what I can do, but I think most times I actually don't use either of them. I just kind of, I guess maybe I like making myself work harder.
Yeah.
Because I really don't. Yeah, because ultimately I really should do it more, but I think at the end of the day, I just end up, I'm kind of like, oh, I don't mind having to, erase everything off the edge. It would help me for sure. So I should start doing it more often, but at the end of the day, I just get my iPad and I'm like, let me just do it.
Yeah.
I always forget. I think that's like the crazy thing about all of these apps, especially like Fresco, where you have so many things that you can do.
Yes. So many tools at your disposal. You're like, oh yeah, I can do that.
Yes. Yeah. It's crazy.
That's so great. Yeah.
But then like at the end of the day, do you do it? Sometimes you're like, Not
Yeah,
really.
sometimes I'm in there chipping away with my eraser tool when I really should be making a mask on a smart object. And I can
Yes.
tell anyone who ever sees me do that on stream, like before I catch myself and do it like the nice way, I can see people fainting in the chat. Just, what are you doing? That's not working
Right.
non-destructively. What are you doing?
They're
And I'm
like, why don't
oh,
you
you're right.
just?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I know.
I'm
There's
sorry.
something
I'll
about
undo and
it.
put a mask on it. I'm
I
sorry.
know. There's
I
something
apologize.
about that. It's like, you know, there are so many things that you could do, but you just end up not doing it. And you're like, why don't I do it? But I think sometimes you're just like, oh, like this is the way that I do it.
Yep.
But I need to start doing that because that would save a lot of time.
It is helpful. You can do the way you like to when you're painting for yourself, and do it the quicker way when you're, working for a client or something.
Yeah.
Like, you can always go back and forth. Christine wants to know if you are using black or a dark brown for the hair and the eyebrows.
Yeah, this is like a dark brown.
Okay, that's what I thought, but I didn't want to just like confirm.
Yeah, I did do it wrong. I did do a dark black, but then I was like, I don't know if I like that.
Like a deep chocolate, more
so
like something. Yeah,
yes.
I like that. Also, Uriel has made, in like the final few minutes that we have left, Uriel has made a thing. He made an Elves of Color project on Behance where people can drop like it says this project is a community effort to bring people of color to the forefront of fantasy and historical illustrations and stories, be it dwarf, elf, or samurai. Represent here. Brought to you courtesy of Adobe Live Random Conversations and Questions. I love this. #EOC. Yes. I will drop some drawings here. I'm like, no lie. Yes. Like, this is gonna happen. I'm like, we need to like definitely like start spreading this hashtag.
Yes, we need to spread the hashtag.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. I'm so ready for this.
I feel
y'all
like
think I'm playing, but I am not.
I need you to not play. I need you to not play.
I'm gonna message you, and we're gonna have to create stuff for this, and then just be like, hey, if anyone else would like to draw some elves of color or some dwarves of color, or like some writers of Rohan of color.
Yes. Let's do it.
Yes, please.
Oh my gosh. I love that. I feel like I should have given her like some elf ears.
Yes.
She would look good with elf ears.
Yes, I think she would. Like, do it. You should. Draw me some dragon writers of color. Somebody, please. I want. Yes. We need this to happen. We're going to make it happen. We have about 3 or 4 minutes left here with Justine, and it's been an absolute blast and a pleasure. I am a little heartbroken and sad that we do have to come to a close.
I know.
This has been so much fun.
Oh my gosh. I hope I can come back.
Yes.
This
has been so cool.
It's been so much fun.
Maybe we can do like in just a quick few minutes, we can do like a little recap of what you have done, so we can kind of zoom out and see your piece, and then you can let everyone in the chat know where is the best place that we can find you and your work. Where's the best place that we could connect with you if anyone wants to contact you for work or to ask you a question about your work and your business and stuff like that. Where can we find all the good content?
Oh my gosh, yes. You can find me on Instagram at Winnie, WINNIE, Weston, WESTON. I am always on Instagram, always posting new stuff, always talking about God knows what.
Just doing it, just going for it. Yes, I'm gonna actually pull up your link real quick so that we can pop over to it. Yeah, I'm gonna share this, because then that way everyone can see what I'm talking about as you are going over just the beauty here. Ooh,
my gosh.
I see. Join now. Be the first to receive exclusive offer and updates. This is
yes.
No, I'm signing up for this.
I know, and I actually have a 10% off sale right now. So Today's the day. In the shop.
I'm popping over to the shop. Ooh,
in the shop. And I have a lot.
Beautiful.
I have just, yes, that's my like new spring collection. I did include some of my oldies but goodies in there. But I created like a whole new collection where it's just celebrating, of course, just beautifulness and color and just hopefully, you know, making people happy when they look at it. So yes, please follow me, talk to me, like DM me. I'm happy to chat with you guys.
Right here. Big time. This Galaxies print, girl, this has got my name on it. I'm about to holler at this right when we get off the stream.
Yes, girl. Yes.
I promise you, it is happening. We are coming to a close though, so we do have to start saying goodbye. But thank you all so much for being here. It has been such a blast getting to hang out, to spend time with you, Justine, and to just get to know the chat better too. We are going to be doing a rebroadcast of the Creative Challenge coming up right after this, and then we're going to be followed up by Anna Davis Court, who is doing illustration streams conveying motion in her work. So that should be super fun. Please stick around. Again, Justine, you are fabulous. We will stay in touch because we're best friends now.
We are. We're like this.
Yep. We are. Yes. Wonder twins. And we will see you folks around. Okay. Come holler at us on social media. We are eager to hear from you, and we will see you next time.
Yes. Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Bye.